Hey there, friends and viewers. This is Hengest with TGN. Welcome to another League of Legends videos. This is going to be a post commentary on a replay that I did with some friends and viewers. It was some late night gaming with Curtis, aka Big C, downstairs. This is kind of the follow-up to my first AP Nidalee hard carry video that I posted a couple months back, which actually is trending quite well. Most likely due to the title of the video, to be honest with you. I mean, if you name something along the lines of hard carry dominating, you know, people tend to click on it just because of the way it's described. But that was fairly well received. I mean, it wasn't my best Nidalee game by any means. And this is another hard carry that I would like to share. It's mostly, look at this first blood downstairs. That's so dangerous to face check a bush against a Rengar, especially downstairs or at the top lane where there's two bushes, because you really can't escape him when he's diving at you like that. But yeah, Big C's drunk in this video. He invited me at like 2 or 3 a.m. I think, to just imagine. He was inviting a bunch of friends and viewers to as well. And so he's gonna be playing pretty poorly, I think. More poorly than usual, I'll just say. Sorry, Curtis. But because he's under the influence and all that, which I tend to do sometimes. I like the game while I've had a bit to drink. But a lot of you guys in the last squadron expressed that you didn't like how we were picking on Curtis and everything. That's all in good fun. I mean, we're all really close here at TGN. We never actually get in serious fights where we want to hurt each other's feelings or anything like that. It's mostly just joking around. But it is very inspiring to see you guys sticking up for Curtis, saying, hey, quit picking on him, he's doing just fine. I agree, he is doing just fine, especially for his level of experience in the game. He's progressing quite well, and it's inspiring to see you guys can actually notice that and appreciate that instead of just picking on him as well. But yeah, as you can see, our Ezreal had some disconnect issues, so it's currently a 4v5. I'm laning against Fiora upstairs, and we don't have a jungler. So we actually didn't have a jungler in our team comp set, so it actually kind of worked out in our favor because experience is going to the right players. Well, nobody's getting experience from our jungle, but at least nobody's being deprived of experience at this point. Look at the Ari burst. Nice evasion there from Shaco. I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of commentating on what's going on in these lanes. I really want to hyper focus on myself because, of course, this is putting the emphasis on the Nidalee play, which, for those of you that don't know, is my best champion. Traditionally, just because I played her the most. I don't know. When I started playing League of Legends, I played a lot of World of Warcraft. I was a big fan of the game. And Feral Druid was my class. I called myself the Alpha Druid. Actually, other people called me the Alpha Druid, and I kind of adapted the name. And if you're familiar with that class in World of Warcraft, you know that Nidalee is very similar. Transforming into a cat and healing herself, etc. Having the mobility really appealed to me. So I attached to the champion early on, and I played her a lot when I was learning the game. And as a result, she's still my best champion today. I was beginning to question that in recent history, whether or not she still is my best champion, but this game pretty much proved that. Most people these days play AD, Bruiser Nid up top just for pushing. And it is very easy to carry with that spec, you know, solo lane, push Nid up top. Just because her sustain is ridiculous, and she can also duel most champions, definitely level 6. But even so, with Harass, she's just a very strong AD champion in a solo lane situation. She can push a tower, push a lane better than the vast majority of champs, and that's factoring in, you know, a lot of champions like Riven and such. Personally, I feel like champions like Riven and Jax, and to a lesser extent some of the more pushing oriented champions, those are the only ones that can really lean against Nidalee effectively. Fiora, not so much. Fiora has to take Nidalee down early and play very aggressive with her ultimate, but if she doesn't manage to get first blood, she's going to be in a lot of trouble, mostly because Nidalee can outrange her in so many different ways, out-sustain her even with Fiora's passive, and also escape her in the event that she has enough HP at the time Fiora uses her ult. So, not the best matchup to go against Nidalee. That's my opinion, of course. There are some champions that can handle Nidalee just fine, but as you can see, I'm playing AP by the amount of damage that Javelin just dealt to her at a reasonable distance. By the way, do note that the enemy Graves is getting out of control. He has 5 kills at this point. He has a BF sword with only 20 CS at the 6-minute mark. So this is pretty ridiculous at this point. Graves is just out of control, snowballing as a result of Curtis playing like slop. But I'm not going to be focusing on much of that, like I said. As you can see, I just hit level 6 before Fiora, so that means that she was out of range of a lot of minion hits unnecessarily. Zoning herself, basically, is what she was doing. And allowing me to get in that extra damage to the point where she's forced on the defensive at the time she hits level 6, which is a big problem for her because part of playing Fiora is utilizing the ultimate as soon as you get it and using that to your advantage. There I just spotted the Shaco gank with a trap. You'd be surprised how many players don't understand that you are revealed when you step on traps, or what that icon, the 2 little eyes, means. So many people don't understand. A lot of those stealth champion players, they just think when they're stealth, you can't see them. But obviously that is not the case. Here Shaco comes in and tries to gank our level 2 Ezreal, who reconnected, by the way. I hit a nice javelin there. If I didn't land that javelin, there's a good chance that Ez would have went down right there. And I'm actually glad that he took that kill. Because he needs the XP, he needs the gold, he needs everything to get back into the game. Ironically, Nidalee has a hidden passive that helps players who are under-leveled level passively. However, at this point in the match, I say you take the top lane and I will handle the roaming and the jungling because our jungle is free, obviously. I'll just level 6 Nidalee jungle. And this is actually something that I vouch for multiple times, in a sense that I want to experiment with the meta where the jungle actually trades off with certain champions at a certain point in their leveling progress. Nidalee is a prime example of a champion with amazing ganks at level 6, and she can also clear the jungle amazingly well at level 6 when she gets to cat form, obviously. So Nidalee's one of the absolute strongest champions in the jungle once she has her level 6 ultimate. So this is something that I want to experiment with, trading the jungle off at level 6 while playing Nidalee. And it just so happened to work out in our favor in this match because we were down a player, and I just gave my lane to him. You can see missing my pounce and javelin on the Graves probably would have been enough to kill him had I landed both of those attacks. But as you can see, I've kind of got him on the defensive as he is out of mana, and I want to try to kill him, but I don't want to waste too much time and I don't want to risk too much, given that he is super fed, although shutting him down is going to be my first priority in this match right now. Curtis kind of tends to follow me around like a puppy dog when he's not doing well. He also knows that Nidalee is my ace champ, so he's just going to try to stick with me a little bit. At this point, I don't get upset with Curtis anymore because I go into the matches with the anticipation of trying to carry as hard as I can. I knew that he was drunk, and I knew that some of these friends and viewers were a little bit less experienced than usual. Or maybe it's just I don't remember what my mindset was going into this match. I don't want to hate on the friends and viewers by any means, but going into this match, I had the intention of carrying as hard as possible, aka ultimate tryhard mode, which is something I very rarely do. I don't like to I love competitive gaming, but I don't like it when it compromises, my happiness. So I don't like getting upset when I game. And typically when I go super try-hard mode, that tends to happen. But this is one of those instances where I am trying my absolute best. I wanted really badly to win that lane against Fiora. When we killed Shaco, I was pretty much had the confidence to leave and start roaming. And now I want really hard to turn this match around in the bot lane, because that's really where the area of concern is. And of course, since the first Nidalee carry video was received well, why not do another one? That's another thing I wanted to quickly touch on, though, is that a lot of people were asking, yeah, why isn't this channel more popular? You guys have really high quality content, you're decent players, and I very much appreciate those compliments because it does mean a lot to me. However, a lot of people don't understand how YouTube works, and most of it is not dependent on quality of content or even quality of the actual entertainment value, aka how well you play or how much you know about the game, in the sense of you're referring to a gaming channel. It is mainly dependent on SEO, which is search engine optimization, search results basically, and the way you get those is by titling videos and making custom thumbnails the way you want them to appear, so it's most appealing. So something like the AP Nidalee hard carry video that I did, oh, that was almost a double kill with a javelin. That would have definitely killed her. You can see a really nice timed ultimate there from Janna. actually preventing me from killing her, as the takedown was on cooldown when I would have been in position to do that. And Graves is faster than me. I do have my tier 1 boots. I wanted to rush that needlessly large rod so that I could land some one-shotting javelin kills. Unfortunately, that hasn't worked out in my favor so far. It would have had I landed that kill on Janna, although the Shaco one was pretty huge, so I'm happy about that. But at that point in time, the tier 2 boots probably would have served me better had I chosen to go that route, especially given that Graves is so damn fed. He had his Berserker Greaves already. But anyways, I want to get back to what I was saying, and that is that here at this League of Legends channel, we know how to get SEO. In fact, some of us at TGN are extremely experienced in building channels, myself among them, because we have built so many channels, and some of them quite successful, of course, starting out with that World of Warcraft channel some of you may be familiar with. But anyways, we know how to get the SEO, we just don't do it. That Champion Guide series that I was going to do, basically where we gear our videos towards the champion releases, so everybody's searching and watching them when the champion comes out. It's very easy to do, and however, it's actual work. It's not the passionate kind of work. That's work you do because you want fame and you want money and all that stuff, because there is a way to do that through YouTube. But that's not what we're about at this point in time, and never really have been. At least I can speak for myself. So where I wanted to do the champion guides to grow the channel, I haven't gotten around to it, and we're just making the kind of content that the friends and viewers who are aware of us can appreciate, just because it's entertaining and it's high quality and all that. However, it is not going to grow the channel in the way you might expect. So just wanted to quickly explain that to people who are wondering, and also kind of just have some discussion during the downtime before I start to really get into action here. As you can see, I still have my tier 1 boots, and that is affecting my ability to kill this Fiora. That was really the biggest mistake I made in this match. As you can see, roaming around getting the appropriate kills, I have the double buffs. When Nidalee has double buffs, whether she's AP or AD, it doesn't really matter. Her ganks are absolutely astounding, just because of her passive movement speed, even without the tier 2 boots, but also her heal and her ability to support other champions when she has unlimited mana with that blue buff. As you can see, I was really counting on some javelin hits. I didn't get lucky at all. In fact, I probably screwed up at least once with those, missing another one on Graves. That was also a big mistake there. I could have definitely killed that Fiora if I had practiced my Nidalee in recent times, but as you can see, my scoop shots are a little bit rusty, and I'm missing a lot of them. Some of these are being taken in the dark, like that last one though, so yeah, some of them are excusable, but certainly should have landed at least one on the Fiora, which would have allowed me to obviously dive in there with possibly a flash and just kill her. However, I was playing really passive because I really do want to carry this match to the utmost, and dying is a huge setback in that sense, especially when you're feeding a champion that can actually, in some cases, chase Nidalee. That is Fiora, of course. If Fiora gets you when you're not close to any bushes, her gap close can pretty much seal the deal combined with her ultimate. So she's one of those champs you got to be careful doesn't get out of control. Here I'm just going to try to defend this mid lane push, which is something the enemy team has the luxury of doing because their Graves is so damn fed. He can pretty much 1v3 at this point if we're not careful. But it's moves like that really nice javelin that really keep us in this game, forcing the Graves back, taking down the Janna. That's something that Nidalee can do, a lot of champions can't, is deal astounding amounts of damage from so far away and then have the freedom to pursue a different champion, switching targets. As you can see, I'm keeping all these enemy players at very low health, which is amazing. This is, again, one of Nidalee's strengths. She's a terror from a distance. She's the ultimate range damage dealer. I mean, obviously a champion like Xerath can deal more damage, but it's not... Nidalee is just, I hate to say it, she's just a much stronger champion than Xerath. And the Javelin, one of the furthest reaching abilities in the game, and dealing an obscene amount of damage with the AP build. However, it is very skill dependent. It's one of the harder skill shots to land. And that's the reason that people really gravitate towards AD Nidalee, because it's a lot easier to play. There's not as much RNG. It's a far more consistent build that you can count on for a carry every time, whereas AP varies quite a bit more. There's a lot more RNG, and the healing is expected to be used towards other players, so you can't really be a selfish player when you're playing AP Nidalee, because you do need to heal your allies. But overall, I've said it in the past, I'll say it again, I believe AP Nidalee is absolutely 100% stronger than AD Nid. The only difference, of course, being the melee burst, and in many cases her sustain for laning because of the nature of lifesteal. However, if you get 1 or 2 blue buffs throughout the course of your lane phase, the difference is not comparable. In fact, AP Nidalee has better sustain than AD Nid if she has the blue buff, just because that mana regen for the healing is more valuable than the lifesteal with regards to sustain. So no reason not to play AP Nidalee if you're a Nid player. And certainly in many cases she is a better option than her AD counterpart. As you can see, I'm trying to grab up some farm here, get a little bit more snowballed before we engage with these team fights. But because Graves has been so fed, the enemy team is free to team fight at this point in the match, which is very early. Look at how low all their players are. If I could get 1 pounce swipe combo here, oh, it would be so devastating. Unfortunately, I only pick off 1 with that initial pounce. That was after landing the javelin on Janna. I let Graves get away. I actually did not see him. And Big C's going to snag that kill with an ignite. That's actually a big problem because he is feeding at this point. And of course, getting those kills is going to allow him to give the enemy team even more gold. Still unaware of Graves' position, although at this point I am curious about him. There we saw Shaco perhaps intentionally getting executed by the minions there. Not really sure. He died at Wraiths. Either way, the Shaco player's positioning has been certainly pretty questionable. In fact, part of the reason this match is such a hard carry in my favor is because there's a huge disparity of skill level between these players. That typically is what happens when you solo or when you queue with people of varying experience. So, for example, my normal queue matchmaking value is probably a lot higher than average, but somebody like Big C, for example, has a much lower matchmaking value in normal queue, which is hidden, by the way. It's not a public statistic. Those of you wondering. And that can in turn cause me to get matchmaked with, for example, this Graves player who's rather solid, although he did get matchmaked with a very, let's just say, underperforming bot lane. The Shaco, on the other hand, is not on the same page, which is similar to our team. So overall, the matchmaking system in League of Legends is very impressive. Huge props to Riot Games for actually allowing such a versatile matchmaking system that in many cases is spot on. But as you can see, I just went back to buy my death cap at the 18-minute mark. That's a very early death cap. I'd say it's very, very improbable to ever get a death cap before the 15-minute mark. 15 minutes is kind of as early as it gets in my book. 18, definitely early. And this is at this point now where I have tier 2 boots. This is a big problem because it's still kind of the lane phase, although the enemy team did just pick up a dragon. When I come out of the jungle and I have a drop on a player like that Fiora, for example, it's going to spell disaster. I didn't need my team's help there. In fact, I was able to flash out of her ult. The dazzle actually saved her because my javelin would have killed her otherwise. But nice response time from my team there. As I was saying, at this point in the match, perhaps if it were a little bit earlier, say I had tier 2 boots and the needlessly large rod, so the first time I was roaming, Nidalee's one of the more devastating opponents that comes to mind, in my opinion. She's just so powerful coming out of the bush, especially if you can land a javelin as an initiation. There's few champions that can really follow up with as much damage as she can at that point in the game. Nidalee's not one of the strongest late game champions. Her biggest strength in that point in the match actually is distraction. She's a great mage assassin, taking out carries and such, but her strongest use actually at that point in the end game is just kiting the enemy team through the jungle and being a nuisance, basically just harassing and dealing poke damage here and there. She's not a sustained damage dealer. She's not that high of a damage target in the late game. She really shines right about at this point, where I can start to dominate people and start snowballing even more out of control. But as you can see, it's tough to do that. Every time the Graves is present, I have to pull back because of how fed he is now with that eye edge, and no doubt he's going to build a Bloodthirster very soon. Then you have a very nice javelin combined with a trap. A lot of people don't know that that trap increases the amount of magic and physical damage you deal to the targets affected. So having the trap up on a target during the javelin actually amplifies the damage by how much? Let's see. reduces their magic and armor resistances by 20% for 12 seconds. So that's essentially, if she has enough MR, 20% bonus damage from the javelin, which is enormous, especially when I have this early of a death cap. So that's why you see me placing down traps in the path of my targets, hoping that they will step on it while I pursue them, so I can follow up with 20% additional damage. It's not always that much additional damage, but most of the time it's very substantial. You can see Shackle accidentally blocking that killing javelin there on Cassiopeia. I'm going to decide to pull back here, because if I give up my life, then my team is pretty much doomed. Although I could have probably went in there and killed 2 players, I needed to play very passive so that I actually survived to defend our lanes. Unfortunately, I hit the wrong target. I've been getting rather unlucky with these javelins over and over again. Speaking of unlucky, look at Graves escaping there with 10 HP after a nice combo. Unfortunately, I don't know where he is right now, but I am able to follow up with another kill on Janna. This team, really, I'm single-handedly holding them back right now, as those javelins were the primary source of damage in the last team fight. This is, again, kind of foreshadowing, but that's precisely what Nidalee is so good at, is kiting the enemy team all around the jungle, because she can jump over walls and get that movement speed bonus from the bushes, and that essentially is a form of, well, an excellent form of defense. It keeps them from pushing a lane, and that is a type of carry that is far less common. Most people refer to carries as dealing the most amount of damage, getting the most amount of kills, and obviously winning the match. However, you can definitely carry without dealing damage and without getting kills. It's dependent on a far different mechanic that a lot of players don't appreciate, and that is, of course, psychological, kiting them around the jungle and wasting their time. That is absolutely a form of carry, and it's probably Nidalee is one of the best at doing it. But other champions like, Singed or Mundo, any of those champions that are a huge nuisance, it's just a statistic that isn't factored into people's judgment of a player. And that is how well they are, that is how good they are at being a nuisance. But as you can see, I'm going to try to get my Lich Bane at this point. A lot of people don't agree with an early Lich Bane, or at least that's, building a Lich Bane after a death cap. The reason I build it is because of the kiting, actually. Because when you're kiting people, you need to be popping out of Cougar form and using your Primal Surge. That's the heal. And that obviously procs your Lich Bane. And that's a great amount of additional damage you need while you're kiting and fighting. That extra burst that you can do instantaneously. And it also increases movement speed by 8%, I believe. That's something that a lot of people don't know, is that Lich Bane increases your movement speed. And that, of course, is essential to playing Nidalee as well. So definitely I would suggest you incorporate a Lich Bane into any AP Nid build. However, it's really the time that you get it. Most people prefer to get it late game. I prefer to get it kind of early or mid. That's just me. Picking up a Sheen early, though, is very wise. You can see that the Graves, very, very little MR, and that just allowed me to burst him down so hard there, opening with that Initiate Javelin. And that was a gigantic turnaround at this point. That just gave my team the opportunity to come back into this match, just based on the fact that Graves died. He was shut down, and I got the 600 gold. Unfortunately, I just fed a massive amount of gold myself, 600 in return, because I died to an Ignite as I was jumping over the wall. That was probably an overzealous play by myself, although I knew I was putting myself in a lot of danger to pursue that Graves kill, but I did it anyway because I believed it was the best thing to do. And in hindsight, I think I was probably right in doing so. You can't always get away as Nidalee, but you will notice that I picked up my Ghost. Instead of Ignite or Exhaust, I got my Ghost. And that's precisely because that's my playstyle. My theory is, although Ignite may help you pick up an extra kill or two, Ghost can also save you a few extra deaths. And in some cases, well, in many cases, give you extra kills comparable to the effects of Ignite. So yeah, I think Ghost Flash is an excellent summoner spell combo for Nidalee. It's more of an old school, traditional build that you would use for Nidalee. In fact, that was the prominent build for Nidalee when her heal was still really strong. Those of you that have been playing the game long enough to know, Nidalee used to be considered like a pseudo support because of how strong her heal was, and then they nerfed it so she would be more of an assassin type champion. But even when she was more of a support champ, the heal was so strong that you could kite and fight even better than you can now. And that's why you would take the Ghost, obviously. So as you can see, my team is about 10,000 global gold behind. But more importantly, I'd say the vast majority of our gold is actually in my hands. If you'll take a look at the farm, Rengar is really the only one that's close to my level of farm. And I also have the majority of the kills as well. So most of that gold is actually mine. I'm not trying to steal kills. I honestly believe that I can do the most with that gold. So that's what I'm doing, is trying to carry as hard as possible. And Nidalee's obviously not one of the hardest carries in the game, but really any champion that you can play to the near maximum is a hard carry, even if it's something as obscure as a support champion. So really, it's all in the players, what I'm trying to say. If you're amazing at a champion, then you can carry with that champion. Nidalee's my best champion, so she's probably one of my hardest well, she is one of my hardest carries. I wouldn't say she's my hardest carry because I am good with some AD champs as well, but you can see I missed another killing blow on the Graves with the Javelin. Really, I'm really rusty on AP Nidalee. I just don't play her enough anymore. The reason I stopped playing her is because I felt I didn't have any more to learn about the champion. And I could also get that skill shot practice from other characters, other champions. But the Javelin is a unique skill shot in that it does scale with distance. So, I don't know. I did lose probably some of my skill shotting abilities with her by taking such a long break. But I only really break her out nowadays when I want to play my best. So maybe I need to practice her a little bit more to get those skill shots back the way they used to be. But as you can see, I'm not doing half bad here. Again, as I already stated, that is in part due to the fact that this team is not usually what I get matchmaked against, but I figured I'd show this game anyway, just because I felt like making a video, and apparently you guys like to watch Nidalee play, so here you go. Javelin Supreme. Here's a bit of a sticky situation. There the Ahri just showed up. I had the confidence to close in for that kill on Cassio. You can see I pretty much two-shot her with an enormous amount of damage. But look at Graves pursuing me right there. Actually, Fiora landing the killing blow with her ultimate. I didn't even, the character didn't even animate near me. That was kind of bogus. But Graves made a point of focusing me real hard right there. Does he have any slows? No, he doesn't. He's just pretty quick. He's got his PD already. What's his movement speed at? 419 now. Very fast. He's almost as fast as me. I'm 429 in Cougar form. So unless I'm in a bush, I can't really escape him because he can... Well, I can escape him because of Pounce, but he can close on me pretty quick because of Quick Draw. So at this point, I gotta be very conscientious. Conscientious. God, that word is overly difficult to pronounce. Of the Graves position, because he's really the only player that can kill me at this point. And he's the one that I need to kill the most. But it's a combination of him having good positioning, but also him getting really lucky that I'm missing my javelins on him, because I've had like 3 or 4 opportunities to kill this guy, just haven't followed through. And that's really going to cost us in the late game, obviously, because Graves, I mean, I would say he's the best late game champion, but obviously... people would disagree with that. He's certainly one of the best, though. That is no question, as he is one of the most popular AD carries for victories these days, as a statistic on the live servers. But I think actually Ezreal's higher than him at this point. Maybe Ezreal does have a better late game presence, although that's not my experience. I mean, I play both Ez and Graves, and I tend to do significantly better at the end game with Graves. He's just a very scary champion. He's one of the most common pentakill champs, if I had to say. But there you go. He got stunned by a Dazzle at the right time. That was a nice play by Taric. At this point, I was communicating to him, dude, if you want to win this match, you have got to land some Dazzles on Graves when he's out of position. That's precisely what just happened right there, and I was able to close in for the kill. And as you can see, I'm able to deal so much damage to their entire team. They're just not building enough MR. And forcing Fiora out of the fight should allow us to push this tower, but as you can see, my team is not really cooperating very much. Could have easily pushed that one down, but it does look like we're going to have some issues with that. I'm just going to try to continue to poke with my Javelin, as Cassio is so easy to take down at this point. She has no MR, man. Oh, speaking of which, that was a massive scoop shot from a long distance, and that's going to give us the advantage we need to push that tower down. John is feeling suicidal, to say the least. You can see the Lichbane burst coming into play there, but again, a very nice time ultimate. However, not enough to keep her alive with that dazzle on her. Just an incredible amount of damage at this point. They're going to catch on soon and start building some Banshee's Veils. I mean, that's what any insightful player does at this point when you have a Nidalee that's spiraling out of control. Javelins are just so dangerous in a team fight situation. They can change everything. There you can see that Graves was forced to use his flash out of another well-timed dazzle. If my reflexes had been slightly better, I could have possibly killed him. Able to chase down Shaco there in the jungle. That is, of course, the passive. Oh, wow. Really nice play there from, well, me. Just I know, toot my own horn here. But that was a great cutoff there on Graves. It's exactly what we needed. But I do want to enjoy your guys' attention to a big problem here that you probably have noticed if you're an experienced player. And that is that this is not sustainable, what's happening right now. Yes, we've won the last 2 team fights because of the Nidalee's positioning. However, it is not sustainable because I will start to plateau very soon. They will start to build MR. My AP scaling will start to fall off. And eventually, with a little bit more coordination, they will be able to take me out of the fight very easily. So if you're in my shoes right now, you need to communicate to your team. You have to do whatever you can to win the game at this point in the match, because with this team comp, with your Nidalee so fed and taking all this gold, it's very difficult to win at the end game, because like I've been saying, she's just not that strong of a late game champion, and against Graves, there's no way she can stand toe to toe. With just a little bit of support, the Graves will be able to dominate the entire team. And that's just the way it is. That's the way the game is designed. That's the way AD carries operate. Of course, yes, I could take Graves in a 1v1 situation, but that is not practical in a team game. You can't make the claim, you can't make the argument that, yeah, you know, Hengest, you could beat him in a 1v1. It doesn't really matter which carry would win in a 1v1. It matters what those carries can do in a team fight situation. And that's really the hardest thing for people to learn in League of Legends. Is there's such, in many cases, it's such a selfish community, and the people are so centered on themselves and stealing kills and getting the max farm for themselves. But really, a truly good player considers the team and understands these things. And in hindsight, I have to give more of this gold. I have to give more farm, more of the kills to my team so that they can catch up. And that's the biggest mistake I made in this match. However, I went into it with the mentality. Look at that damage. Oh my god, it was like 70% of her HP. Max range javelin. I went into this match with the mentality that I'm going to be able to carry this, and it just didn't work out for me. Well, I don't mean to spoil anything, but it doesn't appear that it's going to work out for me because of the nature of what happened here, where the gold went on the enemy team. And because so much of it is in Graves' hands, he's just far superior to me in the endgame. And there's nothing I can really do about that. No amount of player skill will compensate for it. Here you can see a terrible engage here from my team. And that's going to cost us the advantage that we had just now. We never really caught up on gold, but we were winning on the psychological front and in the teamfight front. There I'm able to dominate down Shaco, who was out of position, but it looks like Fiora and Cassio are going to be able to chase down our team here. There's that ultimate there used on Ezreal. She was not able to burst him down, and in return she got smashed with a combination of damage from me and Ahri. There I'm forced to flash over the wall just because I'm afraid that Graves is going to close in on me. You could see that he picked up a triple kill while I allowed him to roam free because I was pursuing other kills. That was yet another mistake. It is my problem that I was not using the fed, the gold that I have from all this team fighting to take out the most important target. Instead, I was trying to win the team fight when in reality Graves is their team at this point. And I just let him roam free there. I cannot trade with him, as you can see. He can almost chase me down. It is the bushes that really make the difference. So I can't fight him in a lane, really. But, yeah, it really, at this point in the match, it just comes down to whether or not I can kill Graves. And if he has any amount of support. In some ways, that means I have to kill the Janna, and to a lesser extent, the Fiora and the Cassio, so that they can't support him and I can fight him. But there's only so much that one player can do. At this point, look at this amount of CS down here. Ahri's closing in to come get it, but I take it. I don't really need any more gold. It's not really going to make that much of a difference if I get, you know, a void staff or whatever it is I'm building. You can see I just completed my ROA. I do believe next I go for the void staff. That wouldn't make nearly as much difference as having Ori getting extra items to deal more damage. But there was kind of a social thing going on here where I was saying, yeah, I'll show you guys my hardest carry. Here you go. And Big C's like, yeah, Hengest, I'm going to go AFK, just win the match for us and everything. I'm like, okay, man, I'm trying my absolute best. But in many ways, this is kind of an enlightening experience for me because this is the first time that I've kind of, well, it's not the first time, but I'm really, in this match, I learned a lot about what I've been talking about, in a sense that selfish playing, even though you are winning fights, at the end could come back to bite you in the ass in a serious way. And because we weren't able to win this game in the mid game, it's going to come down to the end game and whether or not that's even possible at this point. So it looks to be that another team fight is imminent. What this Graves player is doing right now is very dangerous. He cannot afford to be taken down, so he cannot be roaming around by himself like that. But as you can see, his team responded quite well, and we're able to turn that around. This Fiora is going to chase down Ezra. You saw that javelin kill on Cassio back there. Still, she's yet to build any sort of MR. She did get up that Rylai's though, going to give her more HP, but certainly not enough to survive the damage coming from these javelins that I'm tossing out right now. And John is kind of in the same boat right now. You have an opportunity to kill Graves, honestly. If I had known he was there. In fact, I did know he was there because of that ward. I really should have pursued that kill, because Jonna was too low. She would have been caught in the crossfire of a pound swipe combo and killed. I probably could have killed Graves back there, although it's really tough to say. It really depends on whether or not I could land a good javelin or two. But I had to try, because the longer I let him farm up, the more difficult he is going to be able to stop. In fact, he's almost fully built right now. He's saving his Bloodthirster for last, and that obviously is because he did the smart thing and got a Banshee's Veil at about the 35-minute mark, which is precisely what I would have done if I were in his shoes, because how much damage I'm dealing. The best way to shut me down, the best way to carry your team, is to survive my damage. And a Banshee's Veil is actually the best item to survive Nidalee's javelins, because it will block one, and of course it gives an immense amount of HP and magic resist. Exactly what you need to survive javelins. Here you can see that I go really bloodthirsty and kill that Jonna, but I wasn't anticipating the Graves to show up out of nowhere and end my life right there. And that's pretty much, I mean, at this point I know that's pretty much GG. There's nothing I can do about that Graves. But I did pick up the Zhonya's because I can survive his sustain for a little while and count on my team to kill him, but I really don't think any of them have the damage to do so. So I mostly just got it for the extra ability power. As you can see, I'm 17, 3, and 8 right now with 201 in farm. My last item is going to be a Void Staff. I forgot that I got that Zhonya's. And that is kind of a stupid build. It's like an all-in build. Kind of like a how do I say this? An overconfident build. Basically, it's all AP. That's all it is. You have no defense. The ROA, the Rod of Ages, is kind of a defense/sustain item in the mid game. Gives you a lot of HP and some ability power, but really, that's something that a mage would build for damage in a lot of cases. So my build is very, very overconfident in that I'm just relying on my ability to kite. You can get away with an all-in offense build on Nidalee if you have the support from your team, but obviously the gold has just gone all to me, and there's nothing I can do in a 1v5 situation. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit here because I don't want to take up too much time, as the game does kind of plateau from here on out. We'll just watch it in 2x speed and see if I can make any more amazing plays. But yeah, there's nothing I can do to stop this Graves as long as he is staying with his team. Obviously, I could take out the other 4 players methodically, but really not in the amount of time it takes for the Graves to respawn, because I can't deal sustained damage. Many of you guys know that Nidalee is all about the burst. She comes in, she kills you, and then she leaves, and she comes back for more later. We did manage to get a kill on Graves, but unfortunately I had taken way too much damage, and the rest of their team has caught up with regards to their farm. So I am forced to kite and fight, and I can't make any pushes here. And really, this is just the result of my team not being strong enough to win these team fights. Obviously, I am strong enough, but that's not all there is to winning the match. Probably sound like a broken record player, as obviously many of you know this. But yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to show this video, is because it is a super hard carry. In fact, it's so much of a carry that it's not good. It's a carry that should not be happening, but a carry no less. So I hope you guys are enjoying the video. I mean, it is pretty fun to watch AP Nidalee, in my opinion, just because it's so skill dependent, and I love watching the nuclear amount of damage from the javelins. Wow, really lucky Chakra right there. That was crazy. In fact, I lost my life trying to pursue him. Maybe I shouldn't have talked smack about him early on. But the Baron buff obviously helped them out in that exchange. I did go down there. My 4th death of the game, feeding a massive amount of gold to Fiora. And if fed Fiora, obviously her ultimate can change a team fight. Really, that's all she's good for, in my opinion, is just her ultimate. But in a team fight, it's very strong. The way I like to describe it is 4 alpha strikes. Or is it 5? I think it's 4 alpha strikes. And obviously she's invulnerable while doing it, so you can't focus her. And you can't crowd control her either. That's one of the things about Fiora that pisses me off. You can't stop her ultimate. Kind of like Tryndamere or something. But at this point, it's really just, it's a long, slow push from the enemy team because of how well I can defend these towers with javelins. As you can see, this Graves player is starting to talk shit. This really pissed me off when he was doing it. Mostly because I was so tryhard. I think I gave him a little piece of my mind towards the end of the match. But yeah, I really wanted to kill him at this point in the match. And it's the weaker side of me that's like, yeah, come on, come after me, man. I wanted to fucking destroy you. Which is true, but that sort of behavior is never helpful. There you can see I just got focused down after pursuing 3 players. Unwise on my part, but at this point I know the match is over, so I'm just kind of going through the motions. And they're taking their sweet time to push down our inhibitors. So I'm just going to fast forward the rest of it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I know it wasn't as enthusiastic as it would have otherwise been if I were boasting about how amazing I was playing. Really, it's hard to say how well I was playing because of the nature of this match. But I felt that was the hardest carry I've done in a while. So I wanted to make a video out of it. And I hope you guys learned a little bit about team comps towards the end game, and the fact that in a team game, as we are going up against a full pre-made, you cannot win a match by yourself. That's just the simple truth. It's impossible in this game. So all those videos you see of popular YouTubers saying, yeah, 1v5 or 2v5 your team, that's a load of crap. It's not true. It doesn't happen in a competitive environment at all. League of Legends is a team game, and carrying too hard, aka taking kills and farm from your team, can be detrimental if you don't do it properly. Especially on a champion like Nidalee, who is not the strongest late game champ. It's just not a good idea. She's more of an assassin type. Wow, look at that! I engaged 1v5, got completely surprised. We had no vision of that Baron, and that's gonna be GG. They took me down without me dealing any damage, and that just spells disaster. So there you go. Like I said, the detriments of a too hard carry. That does it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching, and let me know in the comments below if you like this sort of stuff, or if you prefer I just make montages of amazing plays in a match or what have you, highlighting the actual, the scoop shot type nature of carrying on Nidalee and all that. I do want to make more Nid carry videos, different builds as well, because I just really enjoy the champion, and I realize a lot of players don't utilize her to the fullest, and so I think I can do something about that. Anyways, yeah, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.